with David Ian and Kate Dale.
The show that plumbs the depths of mediocrity, celebrates the ordinary, and enjoys the everyday.
Hello everyone and welcome to Mediocre Gay. I'm Kate Dale.
And I'm David Ian. What is on your mediocre brain this week, Kate?
I've been thinking about, so as we're recording, it's middle of October, so Halloween is in the offing. And I'm already stressing about fancy dress and dressing up and the expectation on people in the queer community to do it incredibly well, and I do it incredibly badly. But I have found it so stressful in the past.
Like me and sex, then.
Yeah, very much so, because in the past, the thought of it has been so stressful that I've just avoided going altogether and just stayed at home on my own. So yeah, very much like your dating life.
Mm-hmm. Great. I mean, I hate Halloween.
How can you be gay and hate Halloween?
And I'm the only gay. I just don't like the pressure. I'm not coordinated enough or inventive enough to come up with a costume. And also, like, as a gay guy, the costumes generally are like a pair of pants and some wings, or a pair of pants and some horns, or a pair of pants and a harness, or a pair of pants and nothing else. And I can't go out in public in a pair. I don't even walk around my house in a pair of pants.
I do think it's probably easier there was no expectations on me to just turn up looking vaguely decent is frankly enough of a challenge for me most days anyway. But in Halloween, I get that. And certainly at the age I am now, it's not about trying to be hot anymore. So that is quite a blessed relief.
I'd rather just stay at home. So thanks for bringing up, such a fun subject.
I don't quite know to go with that. I was going to ask then what sort of Halloween, what you do then. Do you just sit at home and hide from the children coming around tricking or treating?
I mean, I live in a flat, so no children get anywhere near, so that's fine. I do buy sweets just in case, which I then get to eat when they don't knock on the door.
You hollow out a pumpkin?
No, I don't even like pumpkin. I think pumpkin spice latte. I mean, I don't drink coffee either. So all of that, none of that. That whole period is just horrific. I can't wait for it, to not be a thing. Like, from, I don't know, say, the 15th of October to the 5th of November is just a mean, evil period.
When I was growing up, back in the day, we didn't have pumpkins.
Hadn't been invented.
We had what we call turnips in the north, but I think down here they call them swedes.
Sweet, yeah.
Have you ever tried to hollow out a swede?
Do I look like I've ever hollowed
They
out?
are really, 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 really hard. It's a really distinctive smell when you've got the candle in as well, like sort of baked swede.
Well, I think this is a thrilling introduction.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
So we've got a guest this week who has a list of achievements longer than my arm. So let's see what I can get right. So our guest today is a member of the Ranga Nation, a former Mr. Gay Wales, a former Mr. Gay Universe, an actor, presenter, all-round media celebrity, and goes by the name of Paul Davies. Welcome.
Hello.
Hey.
Did I get everything correct?
Well, yeah, you got it. Look, I'm Paul,
sounds
and that's
like
ultimately it. That's what I'm really happy about.
It's his own fault for having so many achievements.
Well, you've got one hand, you got to go for it. Do you know what I mean?
That's why I'm achieving nothing. Two
You've
hands.
got two hands.
That's what it is.
The mediocre gay, everybody.
Great. What have you been up to recently, Paul?
Well, I've been planning my Halloween costume.
Oh, God.
I'm thinking pair of pants, wings, and some devil horns. Yeah. No, seriously, I can't believe you don't like Halloween. Seriously.
Yeah.
You need to hand back that gay card, babe. Seriously.
I mean, I don't know if they've even got one. I don't think.
Oh my gosh.
No gay activities going on in my life at all, of any sort.
Halloween is the best time of the year, isn't it? Let's be fair. All the films, scary stuff. Do you not like it?
No.
Not at all. No scary stuff at all.
I'm not bothered by it.
I did a London Bridge,
Right.
Tower Bridge Halloween experience where people leap out at you.
Awful.
Oh, okay,
horrendous.
awful.
Absolutely one of the worst things I've
It's
done.
scary, but it's brilliant. I like that feeling, that fear.
I've mentioned it before, I've Michael Paul, and he is always badly behaved, and he took us the wrong way deliberately, and I was torn between going to the areas we weren't supposed to go to and being scared about getting told off or being left out on my own in this thing. And so I ended up, it was just awful. And because we'd misbehaved, I don't know what they did, but they sort of made it even more confusing, and they were chasing us with a chainsaw. And I was terrified at the point of which I just left him. I was actually, Paul, I'm leaving you. I have to save myself.
I mean, never a truer statement has been
So was that an
uttered.
actor, or was it just some
Oh, no,
random
no,
guy in the
I-
street?
oh.
Or...
So I think it was an actor. So I mean, it was kind of fun, but the thought that someone might be about to leap out on me.
When my mate and I, Alex, we went to Poland, and there's like an escape room there that's supposed to be the worst in Europe.
Still haven't done an escape room yet.
Why have we
Well,
not
it's
done
one of
that?
those where they've got actors, and when you go in,
Right.
you pick red. No, you pick green, yellow, or red, and it's to do with the level of pain that you're willing to endure.
What?
Yeah.
Do you actually know what the level is, though? When you're picking
It gives you examples. So, like when on the top one, you will be actively separated from your group. You will be cut. You will this, and you had to like sign.
You'll be cut?
Yeah.
Oh my
And
God.
Alex was like, "I'm sure we can do that." And the lady
go
was
to a
like,
dark room in Berlin or
less
something."
than 1% of people choose the red, and nobody's ever completed it. I was like, absolutely not. We did the basic one, and it was so terrifying. There's I showed you the photos of us. Like we did it with this other random couple, not other couple. We're not a couple. There was us and then a couple. And there's just these photos of me clinging onto this poor straight guy that I don't know, like in the dark, just being like, oh, as we're walking around, as these people are jumping at us, chainsaws, like with the smell.
Oh, that's the thing.
Terrifying.
Yeah. All
Absolutely
the Fright Fest stuff
terrifying. It
does
was
that, yeah.
horrific.
I went to this really weird ghost house experience thing in Vegas, which was set up by, and I can't remember his name, but some big American medium seance, load of nonsense. And it was with this Paul guy again, different Paul guy again, and he really believes in it all. But it was absolute rubbish. We queued for 2 hours to get in, even though we'd pre-booked tickets. It was a mixture of people leaping out at you, weird artifacts from serial killers who were being sort of glorified, and then dolls that were supposed to be speaking to you with voices from beyond the grave. And all they did was just play like static, like radio static.
God.
Oh, that's
And
good
they said,
for you.
if you ask a question, it will answer. But it would just be like, it wasn't. And I was like,
Really
what's
clutching
the...
at straws with it.
Yeah. I mean,
There's
keep
so much to
listening,
do
keep
in Vegas,
listening.
and that's what you
I
did.
know. And by the
Yeah.
time we got out, we'd been in there so long, there was, even in Vegas, there was nowhere left to eat. I was livid.
Nowhere left. Anywho,
Vegas.
Paul.
Yes.
What does mediocre mean to you?
To me, do you know what? I think this is, I was saying this, it keeps changing. And that's the problem, I think. And that is what mediocre is, isn't it? It's, you can't really put anything on it. It's neither good. It's sort of like, it's an ability, is that you're not achieving a lot. You're not doing anything. It's that kind of middle of the ground. And I can't really pinpoint what it is. Right now, what it is to me, right today, was just... yeah, I'm just never on time. But then that's not mediocre, because that's consistently doing something on time. So
I mean, that's
think
bad, isn't it? Like,
But
that's
you're just
actively
consistently
bad.
no, but
mediocre.
to me, my ability means that I'm, so. But for me, I'm kind of thinking, I'm just don't know where I'm at the moment. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
I'm either overachieving and I'm neither achieving. I'm kind of there. I'm not doing too much. So for me, it's the ability for somebody. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you look it up on Google, it's about being ordinary. But then again, it's about, for me, it's different to you. It's a destination. For you, it may be a destination. For me, it's I'm already there and I'm not happy with it. But yet you want to get to my destination.
Oh my God, he's suggesting that I need to get to being mediocre. I'm
mean-
already below mediocre, is what you're saying.
David,
No, it's that personal thing, isn't
you
it?
can but dream.
I know. One day.
Dream big, little flower.
Look
Dream
at
big.
yourself. I mean, you've got a fabulous show. You're both here. Do you know, you're the Holly and Phil of the gay world. And I just look at you guys and I just think, I want to be
in
there.
that we're always jumping queues.
Getting in there. But that's the thing. And so for me, to actually pinpoint it and say exactly what it is, I think it's different for everybody. It's a certain word that everybody's trying to avoid being mediocre. And there's always somebody else next to you that's trying to be what you are, and vice versa. So for me, it's always different. It's always changing. It's the ability. And I think and somebody said it previously about accepting the reality as well for that moment. I think that's really important as well. So yeah, so it's changing all the
Do you know
time.
I've learned from doing this, I think, or it's really put home to me how it's quite an emotional
Mm.
word, and also the awkwardness of when we're finding guests and talking to people and saying, "Oh, we do a podcast called Mediocre Gay, and you'd be perfect," and they sort of take a second or two to think about that, because it
Yeah.
implies we've just said that.
I think there's a difficulty with like asking someone who's won a number of pageants about being mediocre. Like if you've been identified as Mr. Gay Wales, Mr. Gay Universe, I feel like maybe you're not actually equipped to discuss mediocre.
It's been lovely having you on,
But then
Dubai.
when I was when I was in the pageants, it wasn't about beauty aesthetically. It wasn't about the aesthetics. It was more about your heart and what you did. And that's what it was. Obviously, there is a beauty element to it, but again, beauty is just like being mediocre, isn't it? I mean, it's in the
I've
eye
no
of the
idea.
No
beholder.
idea.
No clue.
It's like, but you guys are absolutely beautiful inside and out, and that's the thing. It's well, that's
much
your
more on the
opinion,
inside than the
But that's
outside.
the thing. But that's what it's about, isn't it? So for me, when I went for Mr. Gay Wales, the whole Mr. Gay universe thing just happened really out of the blue. So when I became Mr. Gay Wales, I did that just to sort of challenge stereotype, to go against the grain. Do you know what I mean? Even within my own community, because we're so accepting as a community, aren't we? And I was just like, but yet there's not one disabled person winning any of these things. You know, they have to have the body, they have to have the look, they have to have this. Do you know what I mean? And naturally, then they all go into porn and all this kind of stuff. And I just thought, well, I haven't done porn yet, but it's that kind of thing of, well,
You don't want to be the first disabled gay person.
I
in
could make a
porn.
lot of money, let me tell you.
If you're listening,
Come here.
if you're
I could be
listening
my
to the
glove
podcast,
puppet
you
if
need
you
to go
want.
and find it on YouTube.
But no, it's that kind of thing of where there was, again, so for me looking back, it's, you know, there's some people which have become Mr. Gays and they've kind of gone down this route, which is, again, very mediocre. It's what you expect. So for me to challenge that sort of stereotype, and plus I was an LGBT news anchor at the time, I realized how
Just throw that in there.
yeah, just throw that in there. But I realized how shit the world was for people that were queer or just different human beings that just felt different. And I just realized how crap it was for people. And I felt how lucky I truly was. Where I was born in a country which is far more accepting than other places. I know we do moan a lot about Britain and things, but we are very, very lucky still. We are very fortunate and we still have to fight for those rights and things. But so I just took all those things and I just thought, well, do you know what? This is who Mr. Gay thing came up. I thought, I'm just going to go for it and challenge it. And the first thing, what happened? Attitude released an article, and the first comment on there was like, "Oh, well, he's normal looking, isn't it?" I was like, "There's no point, you
God.
fool." Do you mean? And he's like, "Oh, he just looks like a bloke next door." And I was like, "Well, yeah. And if you want to do it, then get off your arse and do it yourself." And get out there and show it, because that's the thing. You know, if you want to make a difference, there's only one person that's going to do it for you, and that's you. So again, coming back to mediocre and things, is that it's your goals, it's your ambitions, and it's when you're looking at other people, how you're pitting themselves. So for me, you know, it's coming back to the whole was mediocre to me, is that right now I feel extremely mediocre.
So, Paul, what do you love that everyone else thinks is mediocre?
Well, actually, let's just talk about this because everybody loves them now, but never did in the 90s. Steps.
Some of us loved them in the 90s.
Yes, but this is why we need to have a chat with calling you mediocre gay, because steps have always been cool. It's just everybody else has just caught up with us.
So
That's the
we were
thing.
out the other night. Oh no, maybe we won't say where we went. But it turns out Paul knows all of the dance moves, the steps.
No, I don't.
I can just do that.
Virtually, you do.
I really do, yeah. I'm so sad. I absolutely love
And
this.
just does them, just bangs them out when,
yeah.
like, regardless. Like, you're having
don't care.
stood there having a conversation, and the next minute it's the full steps dance routine.
Yeah, well, I'm one of those
More than
people
that.
that it's the music. It's such upbeat. It makes you feel happy, and it's like everybody talks about. You know, they have it on their bloody bedroom walls. You know, dance like no one's watching, and they never do. So I do. So and that's the thing. And when steps comes on, I don't care. Love no money. I'm gonna get up if there's a stage. Like literally, I was gravitating towards the
It's
stage.
really inconvenient when you love steps, but you don't actually know the moves, and
But
so
I
you're just
told
like
you I'll teach
shimmying
you.
next to
Learn
him,
them.
just like, okay, now I really look mediocre, and he's there doing.
But you've
like,
got the hair. You could do hairography with it as well. It's it's not my fault.
You could learn them.
I could
Exactly.
in all of my spare time. Also, in that moment, I didn't know that he knew all the things, so we were just stood there. Anyway,
Well, I just thought it comes part and parcel. When you're a Steps fan, you know the routines. Do you know what I mean?
so what we're saying is I'm a mediocre steps fan as well, is what we're saying.
Well, darling, but I'm willing
I
to
saw them in
teach
concert 3 times in 1 year.
3 times in 1 year.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. And you're Steps fan as well?
Yes.
You paused.
Right.
I
but
felt
am.
the hesitation.
Not like a
Because-
gay
Yeah.
man. Not
Not like
a
a gay man, not like you two, and also because I'm as I seem to keep referring to my age, but I'm that generation or two above. So in the 90s when they were first there, they were for the you'd have been a kid
So
then.
you were
if-
an
yeah.
ABBA person then.
I'm more of an ABBA person.
You're an ABBA.
So
Okay, that's fair enough, that's
I
fine.
love them now, but I'm one of the annoying Johnny come latelys to it, who have now
Okay.
appreciate it now. So I'm a late convert to them, and I love them.
That's fine.
And they closed the first night of Mighty Hoopla this year, and it was
They were outstanding.
amazing, absolutely outstanding, and just the joy of that many people. It was outstanding. So I am, but I feel
But you're
ashamed
an
that I
ABBA
didn't
fan.
appreciate.
Who were the originators? And a
Yes.
Bucks Fizz fan, I'm
Yeah,
guessing. There we go. So
absolutely, yeah.
we're together. Don't
That's
worry.
all right. We can be friends.
For me, I've always loved Steps. They never were not cool to me. I always thought they were incredible. But there's an extra layer to it now. I really love first of all, like the new music that they've come out with. I don't know how they've managed to do it, but it's incredibly Steps, but it's incredibly up to date. No
Yeah.
idea how to explain it, but it just is. It's amazing. But what I love when you go and see them live now, there's something really special for someone our age to see H, who you grew up with, who was closeted, to now be on stage openly talking about his queerness, talking about what it means, really being visible, wearing a skirt. Like, I don't know, there's something, it's not the same as seeing like a 20-year-old who is just like that now. There's something about seeing somebody who's had a similar
there's a-
journey,
the same
journey,
age.
yeah.
I think
Like,
there's
it's
a
so
history there
powerful.
as well. I think
Yeah.
for somebody like H as well, his background, and I think standing there, and when he's wearing the skirt and things like that, he's actually using his platform to make change, not just for
Exactly.
him,
For everyone.
other people.
Like, it's incredible.
And that's the thing. He understands his role as an entertainer.
Yeah.
He knows he's there, and that's the thing. He's understanding his purpose. He doesn't, and he knows what it is, and he has fun with
It's
it.
also, it's not like there's another band who I remember when they entered a particular competition that has been discussed on this podcast at some point. They did an interview on TV and they were like, well, we've got a gay member now, because one of them had come out, and it came across very much as like, oh, this is like a cashing in.
Can we have extra
thing.
funding?
Yeah,
yeah.
Whereas the way that Steps and H in particular handle it, and the fact that it wasn't just like the first concert when they came out, like every single time you see him, he talks, and you like it. There's such a power in what he's saying. There's such a joy, and like authenticity
for him,
to it.
and understanding as a performer and people that are on stage themselves, being their authentic self as well. Because I can honestly say those beautiful people that are on that stage, each and every one of them, they love being Steps. They love what they do for other people. They love making them feel happy. But with H as well, he's from the same valley as me, same path. He was a Butlins Red Court. I was a Butlins Red Court. I know. He became famous. I didn't. But the thing is, I learned his routines. But not for him. He understands it, and he had, being from Wales and the valleys as well, where he had to be closeted so much. Do you know what I mean? Having that moment, then being back on stage, especially nowadays, doing it, it's amazing. It is amazing.
I also
and
wonder,
it's so authentic.
I don't know, I've not really thought about this until now, but I wonder if there's something in like one of your first crushes who like, like when we were kids, he wasn't out, but he's still he's probably got more attractive, I think, as he's got older, but like he was like boy next door, blonde hair, like, so he was one of my first crushes, but then he grows up and becomes openly gay and really owns it. I don't know, there's something to that that's also quite like
But it's being the authenticity, but actually owning everything with themselves. And I think that's the thing, is if you just own being mediocre, then you'd be surprised. You're going to get them all rushing at your feet, babe. That's the thing.
It's not happened yet.
Ownership and saying, this is it. This is who I am right now. And for him, just being on that stage and saying it is so powerful. I think for us all, I think it's amazing. And anybody that can do that, gender, however you associate, just being on that stage and performing and being authentically.
And actually, all of Steps really embrace that, because they're just like so like in it. Even like Lee, which like if you were to think about that on paper, like this straight guy who's a personal trainer, like is going to go and do like exist in something that is so camp, and just like fully embrace it.
Exactly.
It makes him more authentically himself.
What's it?
He does, doesn't he? Like, he hasn't aged a day. You want to slap him with a fish? Like, how'd you keep it? Look at him, he's beautiful.
Do I want to slap him with a fish? I don't think so. I'd probably.
That's bitterness, that is.
I mean,
he's fine.
If you were in fish slappable distance from him, there's probably better things to do.
Beautiful.
But I was going to say.
Well, that means none of them are coming on this podcast. Wow.
So. Got so many questions about being Butlins Redcoat, but that's probably for another episode because time moves on very quickly. I was about to go to Madonna then. Sorry.
Time goes by.
And it doesn't go slow. Anyway, yeah, so that's amazing. What I was going to say was about Claire, because I think Claire, was it Claire who was bigger at one stage? And
Yeah.
that for me was really important. She just kind of went out and owned that, and it was part of that's just where she was in
I think
her
everybody
life.
can look at each member and associate themselves with them. Do you know, whether it's a straight man or a gay person, or it's somebody that's larger in size or whatever, everybody can see that journey they've gone through as well. And they're still going and they're still loving what they do. And they talk about it as well. They are still human beings as well with it. And,
like fully rounded,
and they can
isn't
still be an artist.
I can't think of any
brilliant.
act that has been like
That open.
well, that's like effectively, I suppose, would normally be considered now a legacy act.
Mhm.
But that I'm actually more excited to when they've got new stuff coming out. I can't,
Like
other
you
than
say,
Cher, I can't think of anyone
their
else.
music has evolved, hasn't it? And it's
Yeah.
still there,
Yeah.
but it has evolved, and that takes some doing. And it's not just going to see somebody effectively doing their own
But
tribute
they're still
act.
selling out the O2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So, I mean, well, they just they closed down Birmingham Pride. Jimmy, they've done
Yeah.
amazing. They really
And they
really
work
have.
hard.
They really bloody
Yeah,
do.
actually, there's an authenticity
And they're
to
a
the fact that they
family as
work
well.
so
They have
hard.
their own
Yeah.
families. So the fact that everybody can look at them, they can aspire to be them, and they can see them as
I think there's
families as
that.
well and friends, and that's what it's about.
I was going to say when you were talking earlier about people saying, "Oh, he just looks like somebody every day," but I think there is something about that is so inspiring and lovely because it makes you feel like
None
you're
of them
all
look like
in it.
everyday people. They're all stunning.
No, what they said about Paul, and I don't think he looks like every day either, but that's what somebody said. But I think some people get threatened by that because if somebody who quotes looks like me, I hate doing air quotes. Why am I doing that? If
I wish I
someone
could
looks
do
like
that.
me has achieved something,
I wish I could do that.
It just looks like a naked sooty, doesn't it? It's like
I'm just flaunting my privilege, aren't I?
rubbing
Stop
it in
being
over
so
there.
ableist.
I'm
would you?
so ableist. Right.
No, two hands are so mediocre.
I was making a really profound
No,
point and I
sorry, babe.
screwed it up. That's
well.
the story of my life. Now I am going to come back to it. I think people can feel threatened by somebody who they believe looks like them achieving something because that means that they could as well if they tried. Whereas if it's someone who's beautiful or in very over the top beautiful, then I could never do that. So therefore, I don't have to even try. And I think that's where some of the hostility comes from.
I think that's our own reasons about setting ourselves up to fail.
Yeah.
Do you mean that kind of thing? Oh, well, they're going to get it because they got this. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
no, that's just an excuse, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, you can look at privilege and things like that as well. However, it's we're talking about, listing of titles. Look, ultimately, the main title I've got is Paul or Stumpy. Do you know what I mean? That is my main title. And being me is my occupation. When people ask me what I do, I got multiple occupations. Being me is my occupation. And that's what I'm very proud of. Do you know what I mean? And the fact that I own that, the one thing I don't worry about is having one hand, and that's through my mum. She helped me embrace that, and I've kept that. And I think people that embrace who they are, it takes a long time. I can sit here and go, love yourself. Look, I know how hard it is. And I've seen a lot of people that still struggle to look in the mirror and love who they are. And it's not about what you see in the mirror, it's what's in there that counts. I know I can be a dick if I want to be, but I also know I'm a good guy too. And that's the thing, it's about embracing both good and bad. Do you know what I mean? And I think as soon as you embrace that, you kind of is saying, I love who I am, and it's not an ego thing. It's like, yeah, I love me, yeah, go get him, kids. It's not that. It's like going, yeah, okay, you're having a shit day today, but in there, you're a good guy or you're a good person, whoever you are. And that's it. And I think that can be really threatening to somebody, even somebody with the most amount of money and the biggest jobs in the world. That's very threatening because nothing can change you.
I'm going to have to play this on a loop every morning, I think. And this now feels like a really mean question to follow on from that, which is...
Which hand do you write with?
Before we move on, I'm going to say something like that was very profound, amazing. I knew that you'd have something like that to say and make us all feel massively inadequate. But I just want to go back to steps for a second.
Yeah. We can always go back to steps.
I just want to say, every time I see steps, I always think to myself, imagine that you were just like a mum or a dad on the school run at the school that like Faye took her kids to.
Yeah.
And so you would just see like Faye as just like...
Faye, she's
one
rocking
of
up
the
with a
mums.
fag in her mouth.
And then the next minute, she's like on stage at the O2.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is I'm going to have kids. I'm going to get some kids and go and become
Loiter
friends.
around.
Yeah.
When you say you're going to get some kids.
I know. Well, I can't have it. Like, it couldn't be a baby now, could it? Because it
No, I
wouldn't
was
be old
thinking
enough.
you're
So
going to
I'll
have to steal
just
some.
borrow. I don't know, bribe. How does it work? How well? Like,
It's not a
Well,
lending library for kids.
the two options are I acquire
This is
some
an
kids, or
awkward
I just
conversation.
hang around outside the school. So which is less horrific? How about
All
we
this
just
to see steps.
Faye?
Just Faye.
I think Faye and I would be friends.
Does
Faye,
Faye
if you're
think
watching,
that?
babe, give him a ring, for God's sake.
It's either
He's
that or
gonna
bad
kidnap
things are
kids,
going
for
to
God's sake.
happen.
Do you know what I mean? He's gonna...
Does nobody like? I just. I mean,
Go
I
to
like.
Panto. She does Panto every bloody
I actually,
year. Hanging
do you know
around
what?
outside
I
the
saw
door.
her do Eva Cassidy's life story. She was incredible. Why are you both looking at me like that? Okay.
We were just talking
Because
about
I'm still
steps.
at the kidnapping children to
Yeah. And
blackmail Faye
Eva,
into a relationship, friendship.
to be honest, I don't think I know enough about Eva Cassidy, so I can't really judge. So
Oh,
She was somewhere over the rainbow, wasn't she?
yeah, like
no, that was Judy. Darling.
Well, yeah.
Well, no, but
that was bloody Judy.
she sung a version of it. Actually, I think the show was called Over the Rainbow. I
Yeah,
think
I mean-
it was a really good show. Faye, you're amazing with it. Call me. And H, come on the show. Anyhow, I'm going to send this to all of them.
Yeah, I think you should.
Yeah, I think we've guaranteed that
Yeah.
Right.
we're not going to get them on the show,
Well, it's a
but we're not going to
tribute
be
to
You're not going to
allowed.
be allowed to go to the O2
I know,
anymore.
absolutely.
Yeah,
O2,
there we
we're
go.
going to be. There's
a
going to be a
knockoff
picture of you
tribute
on the
show.
O2.
We could be
be-
a tribute show. Well, it'd be 3, not the whole group.
Which ones are we?
Well, I'm going to be obviously H. You can be Faye. Yeah.
I'll take
there we
that.
go.
Who am I? Am I?
You can be Claire.
I can be Claire.
Claire, big strong voice.
Oh
Can
yeah.
you sing?
No.
Oh,
No.
if
Oh,
she's
but-
going to be Claire, she needs to do that lovely big mouth note. You can't do that,
What?
can you?
Go for it. Up you go, babe. Go for
No,
it.
but no.
It's been said before.
Right, moving on.
So I think that's a beautiful segue into telling us something mediocre about yourself.
About myself. Ooh. About myself. I guess I don't know. The fact I can't get a blue badge and everybody else can.
I knew that's what you were going to say. That's why I did
I'm
my little giggle.
tamping.
I was wondering
He's
why you would.
He's
I'm
so
obsessed
angry.
with this. I'm tamping, right? Everybody I speak to can get a blue badge. Do you think I can go and get one? Nothing. No, I can't get one. Honestly, if it was on there, can you juggle? I'd be like, yes. I'm like, oh, damn. Honestly. And people say it's about mobility and things like that, which I do understand. But
But
it's,
as we discussed, when you're carrying
I was
shopping
going
bags,
to say carrying.
so I'm the pillock, right, that goes to Tesco's, right, that will carry extra bags just to show I can do it. Obviously, there's some deep-rooted shit going on here. I'm walking out about 50 bags on my arms, right, looking like all Lumiere from bloody Beauty and the Beast like this. And literally, I'm going, yes, I can do it. Look at me. And then and then everybody's going, oh, yeah, really well done. But what they don't realise is I've just parked into a disabled bay, which I'm not allowed to park in. And then I got a ticket.
oh,
See?
he's got a lot of tickets.
And I've got a lot
He's got
of
a lot of
tickets.
tickets.
So, but I want a bloody blue badge to
absolutely
achieve this,
gobsmacks
to
me.
show other people that you can do it. I do need to kind of cheat a little bit. I need to park a little bit closer. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm carrying all these bags, and at some point in my life, I am not going to be able to carry all these bags. So yeah, I know. And stealing shopping trolleys isn't a good thing either. So
Do you steal shopping trolleys?
no, I don't.
Well, very glad to hear that.
So his mediocre thing is light crime and fraud.
Yeah, well, I can't even get away with fraud because I can't bloody
So-
lie. Honestly, the thing is, I've tried to fill this form in so many times, and people say, right, you need to think of if you struggled or you broke your hand and all these things. I can't do it. I just can't fill that form, and I can't go. No, I can't. I'm writing it on. Can you do this or anything? I mean, yeah, I can do it all. And then you got people coming up to me. Oh, I got a blue badge. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Honestly, so angry about it. He talks about it
I'm
a lot.
tamping. I'm fuming, especially when people come up to rub it in now. I think you were just applying for this shit to wind me
I
up.
might get one.
yeah.
Just...
You dare, right? But to be fair, like I understand it. It's just the fact it's one of those things where actually, when I've actually asked for help, which is a very hard thing for somebody to do, which has a disability, and you've always been inbuilt in you to sort of show that you're capable, and because we're all capable of doing it. The only thing that stops us is our head. So when you have depression, things like that, that is a completely different thing. It does stop you from doing things. But for me to then sit there and then sort of say what I can't achieve is really, really hard. I literally find it really difficult to talk about it. What can't you do? Ooh, handstand. But that's because I'm frightened of planting
You
my face on
can't
the
wear a
floor.
watch on your left hand. We discussed this.
Well, yeah, true. But the thing is, it also looks weird. Do you know what I mean? It looks like I don't know.
I would be
think it's
distracted,
odd.
worrying it's going to fall off. It
Yeah,
would,
that's what I mean.
It would
do you know what
distract me, I
And
think.
it's
Yeah.
like, normally I'd have to get like a really small thing and then I'd be like, oh, I'm going to put in, Yeah, I find it really odd.
It's, and I've had no experience of having to apply for whether it's various benefits and things, but there is that having to paint yourself as
As a
victim or unfortunate, all this stuff.
It is, and it's something that's there. And look, I'm joking because people, it's there. It's for people to have it. And the reason why I did it was because I needed help at one point, and I realized that wasn't a good place for me. And that's the thing, is that when I was thinking about it, I was like, no, this is not good, because what this is undoing about 30 odd years of hard work of proving I can. And by undoing it, it was actually undoing a lot of good stuff and things like, all the stuff that was inbuilt in me from my mum, and from the people around me and my friends. And, again, being very fortunate to have had them. And I was just thinking, oh my God, this is really hard to do this. So, I'm a proud disabled person. Label me what you bloody want. I don't care. As long as you're happy and you let me carry on. I'm Paul. But that's the thing, is to sit there, and for somebody that is disabled, that has worked really, really hard. There's a lot of people out there right now that are fighting for all our rights, and you don't realize what they're going through right now. We're talking about the cost of living for people. Let me tell you, the cost of living for people with disabilities is really bloody hard. Just the simplest things that you think just a little bit of heating just to help them just to get through the day. Let me tell you, it's a lot for them. And they're still going through it, and they're still having that smile.
Yeah,
I think people, and people need to, I think, not to sort of get on my soapbox in some ways. Do you know what I mean? Disabled people are actually making the world a little bit easier for you guys, because we're actually making things, we're adapting things. You have to adapt things for us. You're the ones that got it wrong the first time. Mm-hmm. We're here to remind you, you need to change it. It can be easier than this. So that's what I mean. 2 hands are so last year.
I feel guilty for the fact that I've got 2 hands and I can't do a handstand either.
Can't you do a handstand?
No, never.
I'm petrified of it. No, it's not the stamp. It's the fact I just know I'm going to face plant the floor.
Yeah, exactly, right.
It's horrible, isn't it?
I can't do. There's a yoga position, the crow, which is kind of like balance. I can't do that, and I did it once for 2 seconds.
I can do the
I
crow.
face planted across the carpet and then had a massive carpet burn across my face, and that took a lot of explaining.
Anything even remotely gymnastics I can't do. I went to an adult gymnastics class once, and you had to forward roll across the room, and it turns out I can't forward roll, and I nearly broke my neck.
You can't forward roll?
No, I don't know where your head goes.
Between your legs?
Apparently not. I kept sticking my head out and it getting pulled back, and like everybody was just laughing and not showing me how to do it.
Oh my God.
Literally, I nearly died in a gymnastics
night
class.
out next time.
We're in a forward roll.
I hope the next steps routine has a forward roll in it. Just so we can do it. Come on, David, off you go.
Literally one of the worst moments of my life.
Oh, so many of those, David.
Yeah, right. Where can we find you?
Well, you can find me all on social media, obviously. The easiest way to find me is using the hashtag #NeverStopBeingYou. You'll find me on that one.
Oh my God,
I love
hashtag,
that.
wow.
Yeah.
Don't you want to tell everybody what your Instagram handle is?
Yeah, but it's Mr. Gay Wales _Paul Davies. Or Paul_Stumpy. Again, just type in Stumpy and I'm sure you'll find me. Or a tree stump, which is really freaking awkward. So.
You'll know the difference though.
Yeah, you will, hopefully.
Tree stumps don't wear yellow jackets.
Yeah, and they don't molt as well.
I was going to say that yellow jacket.
This jacket,
everywhere.
what is mediocre? This
that
bloody jacket.
Absolutely.
Let me tell you. Honestly, I was covered in
Horrific.
fluff when I wore this the other day, and I'm the same now. There we go.
I got home and I had fluff.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, I'm eating in it, but I got it all in my beard and everything. So, honestly.
Last night he texted me, he was like, I'm going to wear the jacket again. I was like, great.
Honestly, it's terrible. But that's what you get for buying cheap, but you can't tell on camera.
Right. That was great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's brilliant.
You can find me on Instagram at Mr. David Ian, or you can check out davidian.co.uk.
And you can find me on Instagram at KTS Dale.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Mediocre Gay, the podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. It helps other people find the show.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Mediocre Gay Pod, or share your mediocre secrets with us on mediocregaypod@gmail.com.